Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family, we chose this one. This is episode 131, Michelle Rodriguez music videos. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by Mighty Music Memory. Music Memory is a nationally recognized curriculum designed to promote the love and knowledge of classical music through an in-depth study of the 16 great composers, their lives, and their music. Shout out to musicmemory.com.
Well, shout out to musicmemory.com and also to Christian Larson, our patron, who picked this.
Yes.
We compliment him a little bit more on his fine taste in the back half of this episode, so Larson, stick around for that. But Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last spoke about this very topic, basically?
Something happened last night on Tuesday night that I think that we should just completely avoid talking about. After I spent some hours last night watching something very depressing.
Oh yeah, because you're a big Indians fan, so you didn't like them getting destroyed by the Yankees. That's what you're talking about, right?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
By the way, the other thing was held in Cleveland, so when I found that out, I was like, oh, it's just a bad night for Cleveland in general.
It was absolutely a bad night for Cleveland. Good point. After that, I wanted to watch something else. I was talking to my friends because we had like a chat going on while we were watching, and we had talked about like nonfiction books, and I was telling them some of like the good true crime books that I've read, and I mentioned, oh, there's the book that was written by Patton Oswalt's wife about the Golden State Killer.
I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
Yes, and my friend, because I couldn't remember the name of it, and my friend was like, oh, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the HBO documentary is great. And I was like, what? I didn't know that there was an HBO documentary.
Yep.
Last night we began watching I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the HBO documentary. I've already read the book. Rachel didn't, but she likes these true crime shows. We've talked about them before. You know, we're big fans of these kind of things. Did you see this one?
I did not watch it because I read the book, so I figured that I didn't need to. Like, I think, unfortunately she passed away, and so I think if she was still around, I probably would have watched it.
She's heavily in it.
Yeah, I still feel like I was like, I don't need to. Like, I don't love true crime in a way that I'm like, oh, I need to see everything about everything, and I know this story, and so I thought I was good, but I've heard good things about it. It was just one of those,
Yeah, it's interesting. It gives you more of like the background of how the book was constructed, and it's more about Margaret McNamara. I think it's
Michelle McNamara.
That's funny. I got her last name right, but not her first name. How weird is that for me? So it's interesting, right? I'm getting a lot more of like the background of it that you don't get through the book itself. And it's funny because last night, as this was happening, I promised Haley I would tell this story, that she was messaging us and just checking in. And I was telling her, both you and I are doing pretty good. We're happy and healthy. And I told her that, I was like a little depressed from earlier in the night, and I was going to put on some murder porn. And she was like, I know we're close, but like I didn't need to know your porn taste. And I was like, oh, no, I'll explain later. Murder porn, there was like this episode of South Park, right? And
is that where this comes from?
I guess kind of, but kind of not really. But like they reference it in that, and this is what I always think of when I think of it. And like there was an episode of South Park where like all the parents are watching like true crime, like pretty much murder porn on TV, and they would like get them all horny at night, and then they would like, so anytime I watch like any of these like true crime things or like stuff like that, I always just call it murder porn. So that was my murder porn reference, and I was like, no, murder porn's a thing, not like I'm not watching snuff films, like just like.
I think the term blank porn gets applied to a lot of things.
Yes.
Like there's misery porn, which I guess could actually be porn.
Food porn.
It's the indulgence in something, like the pleasure that something brings to you, right? Like ostensibly like porn would, but just, whether it's food or murder or whatever. In terms of the I'll Be Gone in the Dark, I liked the book. I had been so hyped on the book because that book, I'm sure led to the capture. Like that was like this cold case that had gone on for decades, and because of her work. And so it was interesting for that reason, but I felt like, because the book's like 550 pages, so much of it is just her working and working and working, getting close, and then she passes away, and then the book kind of like jumps forward in time to
and it's like we caught him
after. They're like, yeah, we used her work and we caught him. It's just like, wait, what that? Okay. Like, it felt like both satisfying and also like, oh no, like you missed the best part.
But you can't recreate what she does. And the thing that I liked about the book, and they talk about in the documentary series too, I'm only like 3 episodes of the 6 of the miniseries deep. They talk about how she like makes like all of the stories very personal. Like she like introduces every individual case as its own set of characters, and she tells you about, the person and what kind of person they were and what they were doing and like what their life is like, or like what happened to them and their families and stuff like that, and it makes it very personal. That's like a cool writing style that isn't really copied all the time, right? It's usually from the perspective of the killer. Like when we did the Zeph movie, what, like Zeffingly Evil?
Zeffingly evil, Zeffingly wicked, and Zeffingly whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, whenever we did that, it's like, oh, you're kind of following around Ted Bundy, and you're like seeing it through like what he's doing, as opposed to seeing it through the eyes of the victims. And it makes it a very different, contrasting thing. So either way, the book is good. I like the book. Miniseries seems pretty good too so far. I'm halfway through.
There's one book, and I didn't know where you were going, because we hadn't talked about this yet, but there's a book that I
Yeah.
read a while ago it's called The Devil in the White City. Have we talked about this? Do you know about this?
Yeah, this is another one of the books that I brought up to my friends and like one of my favorite nonfictions last night.
Because
Yes,
yeah, like I
yes,
don't
I
know
love
if it's
this
still
book.
happening or not, but I think Scorsese was going to adapt it with Leo in the lead, with like the guy that they just kind of like assumed existed or whatever. But it's about a serial killer in Chicago at the turn of the century at the
So
World's
cool.
Fair. Young women would show up to town on a bus, be like, "I'm here to take in the big city." He's just like, "Hey, come stay in my hotel. Like I'll put you up," and then he would just murder them. And they
Yep.
think that like he murdered probably dozens, if not hundreds, of people. They don't know, because like it was so, people just assume that this person, this young, usually a young woman, would go to a new city and then just disappear. Like you never knew what
When like
happened to her.
run away. Oh, like they were like running away, or like they were like on their way to LA or something. Yeah, like
And
whatever,
generally,
right?
like no one in the new city would know that she was there. But it's really
Yep.
fascinating to contrast the power of technology and growth and everything that was on display at the World's Fair. Meanwhile, like maybe the most prolific serial killer in the history of this country was just doing his thing at the same time. So it's this fascinating deep dive
Also,
into
that
that.
book.
A little bit of conjecture, but also a little bit of like, oh no, this is like actually what was happening.
Yeah, and that book is really nicely and interestingly constructed too, because that's the book that alternates chapters
Yep.
between like, like here's the first Ferris wheel, or like this was like the inspiration for the Ferris wheel, and like this is what a day at the World's Fair is like, and like you're pretty much like half walking through the World's Fair, and then like the next chapter will be like, and then this girl was murdered, and then it's like World's Fair murder.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that book too. Good
Yeah.
call.
I don't read a ton of those just because I don't think I need to. Like I decided when it came out on HBO that I wasn't going to watch it, but I've only heard good things about it, even though it's too long. Everybody just says it doesn't need to be 9 episodes. But that Nexium doc, The Vow,
I'm gonna probably hit that pretty soon too.
I mean, you'll
Yeah, the
definitely get
Nexium
to it
ones.
before I do. Like it's still on air now. I think it's ending. I think it
Oh,
probably aired like 6 or 7. So I think if you wait another couple weeks, they'll all be out.
nice. That's a good idea.
But yeah, I want to see that because like I was like I don't need to see like this like the dark depressing sex cult thing, and then like everybody I've heard talk about it like on podcasts and stuff, they're like, oh no, it's great.
We've seen some Nexium stuff, the Lifetime version of it or whatever, that was also like a mini series. Like one of these things get picked up. I mean, I guess they're like big stories, but like like when OJ came out, we had like OJ, and then OJ Made in
Yep.
America, and like you have
Yep.
like R. Kelly, or like they make four different versions of them at the same time.
Well,
So
it's like the Asylum version of what they do with horror movies. It's like there's new Indiana Jones. There's also a new Alan Quartermain movie, or there's like Triassic World. It's like, well, that's
yes, yeah,
because it's on DVD like
exactly.
at CVS next to the
You
register.
get
Like,
every
oh, this is the new dinosaur movie. Here we go. Like, right? So,
and you get like every tier of it. Like I think like HBO is usually like the most polished
well, the weird thing now is
ones.
the trifecta. It's like, is it a book? Is it a podcast? And is it a TV miniseries? Because I mean, if it's all three, then it's like, oh yeah, cool. And then is there a fictionalized
Oh,
like there was that Theranos doc that with oh god, what's her name?
yes.
Elizabeth
Yeah, the crazy lady.
Elizabeth Holmes, and that
Okay.
was, I think, I don't know what the order was, but there was the book that I read. There was a podcast which might have come first. Maybe the book was first. Then there was like the New York Times expose or something.
Yep.
There's the Jennifer Lawrence movie that's coming out. There's the
The
Kate McKinnon
doc.
TV series. There was like the HBO documentary. Like there's like the 6 different things. It's like and that's still the trial's still going on, right? So
So we'll just wait a decade and we'll get the whole thing shot over again.
man, jeez. But yeah, what else have you been up to aside from watching
That's it.
murder porn?
Yeah, just trying to take my mind off of things for a little bit. So,
I
yeah,
get it. I did not win a fantasy baseball. I told you that, but that's fine
I'm
because
sorry.
it was a weird year. It's fine. It's fine. I'm in a good
You came
position
in
for
second
next year.
though. That's cool.
Yeah, No real updates on Spelunky. That's all I've been doing. I finally started doing research online about how to beat it the real way, like going into the subreddit and looking around. And there's so
Yeah.
much insane stuff. I can't. Even, I won't even say stuff that like happens, but I'm reading things. I'm like, how would this even work? I don't even understand how this works. They're exploring and trying to find out how things interact. And like, there's this one guy who like did this one type of run who like figured things out and like lost his mind, and he got to this place and then his game crashed and just went back. It's like, oh man, the first person in the world to do this one thing, pretty difficult. And then his game just died on him, which is sad, but also a little
This
bit
is
funny.
this is actually a really cool aspect of it that I wasn't thinking about. Is like you've been playing this and you were like, "Oh, I'm avoiding it so I don't get like spoilers." But at this point, with it just coming out and all of you guys trying to beat it the real way, as you call it,
Uh-huh.
that it becomes now a community game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a really cool aspect of it and really fun. You're all trying to like you're doing a whole I'll be gone in the dark type situation. Like you're all doing the research and like, oh, what if you try this and what if I do this and
Because
that's
even
cool.
like in the first game, when people knew how it worked, there were certain things like there's an eggplant item in the game and people didn't know what it was for, and then they finally figured out that if you bring it all the way to the end of the game, you can kill the final boss in one hit. And
Oh,
so it would be easy, like you can play co-op, and so theoretically you could just sort of stay out of harm's way. I could clear everything, you hold the eggplant because it's very delicate, and we get all the way to the end. But then people were like, can you do it by yourself? And so it like took so long to figure out like ways to kind of break this, because the game is not designed really to let you do it by yourself, but people figured out how to do it. And I actually just read that's not this game, but a franchise that's close to our heart. I read an article today on Polygon about people who are like trying to glitch and like break Halo 3, like still
oh,
like
nice.
13 years after that game came out.
Oh man, I
They
miss Halo
finally they just
glitches.
did something today that they never thought was possible. Not this today, but like in the last week or two, that like they never thought was possible. Like they got somewhere, and to hear the level of detail in like how to break the game in certain ways, I'm like, I don't understand. Like that doesn't sound fun to me, but like if you're in that world, it's like this seems like the best. Like this is
Dude,
like Christmas morning for people who care about that kind of stuff.
yeah, when we were like, you and I specifically, when we were like 14, figuring out how to like jump down in certain places in Halo or like have a ghost man in the warthog, like these things were like life changing,
Hmm.
right? Like it was crazy at the time.
This one today apparently put them in a room where cutscenes were generated. It's like what?
What?
Yeah, like there's like a
That's
room where like the game renders the cutscenes, and they were somehow able to get inside that.
that's very, very weird, and I don't understand. Like, it doesn't even make sense to my brain. But
And
good
like
for
when you're
them.
in there, it's like a big white room that looks like an art gallery with like just massive murals that are just the cutscene. I don't. It's. I don't know how to better describe it. They call it the picture room.
I'll have to go Google that
Yeah,
afterwards and
there's a
see a
there's a
video
10-minute
of it.
YouTube video where there's like Halo style music, and they just have subtitles just
And
like how to do it, and but like it's like how to do it like as though everyone knows everything, and just like go here, then kill yourself and drop your weapons. Like it's all like I get that, I follow that. It's just like and then shoot the word or shoot the little mongoose, like the little like ATV like on top of
yeah,
this thing. But like I would never know how to do that. They're like and get the other guy up there, just like I like, but like it's all treated with equal weight, and it's like oh like I don't understand most of this. Like I think it's amazing, but I don't know what I'm looking at really. So
the if you were in the shit for the past 13 years, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's like
yep,
do this thing. You'd know all the glitches and be like, oh okay, there you go.
it's not to the same extent, but I can watch a Spelunky stream and see what they're doing. But if you're like, I don't. It makes sense, but I don't know how these pieces operate with one another or how any of this works. And so just yeah, just it's like speaking a language, right? Like it's about understanding what you're doing.
Everything has its own kind of weird language.
One other quick story that I wanted to tell you because I thought it was kind of cool, and it fits in somewhat, I think, with your the type of story that you like. So
Okay.
when I bought my house, the guy who sold me the house was like, "Do you want to stay on with the lawn care that I've been doing?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know how much I'm going to spend on stuff." And I'm like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
And then after a couple of years, I was like, you know what? It probably could help because like there's just stuff that's outside, like there's just like shitty weeds and grass and whatever. And like I still cut my lawn, but like this is treatment care, whatever. Every time they come and do treatments, they leave notes on like ways to be better and whatever.
Okay.
And so they're like, we recommend this thing called core aeration, where they dig into the dirt. I don't know what system, what tool they use, but like dig down into the dirt and aerate it because New Jersey dirt gets super compacted, and so it just helps lawn grow fuller and healthier and whatever. They recommend that every
Cool.
couple of years.
Okay.
And so I called them. I'm like, is this something that like makes sense? Is it too late to do seeding because like there's dead spots in my lawn? Because they're making the lawn healthier, but by doing that, they're essentially killing all the stuff that looks like grass but isn't grass. So
Yeah.
it kind of looks like it's healthier, but it kind of looks worse.
Yes.
Like the receptionist kind of like she's giving me some answers. She's like, yeah, we're booked up this week, but blah blah blah. Like, let me actually get you on the phone with this guy Bob. He can answer your questions. But he's on the phone right now, so let me call. But he'll call you back. So he calls me back in a little bit. We're talking, and I was essentially going to be like, the core aeration is $94, which I thought is way less than I thought it was going to be. Like, it's not nothing, but
Yeah.
I'm like, what this miracle thing is for my lawn. I'm like, oh, this is going to cost like several $100s. I'm gonna be like, no thanks, I'm good. But then she's like 94, and he's like, yeah, $94. I was like, oh, that's not bad. Like, I don't have a lot of lawn, but that's not bad. I know it's like kind of too late for seeding, but like what I'm thinking is maybe have you guys come next year and seed or whatever. And he was like, and this is what was super cool. He's like, oh no, don't pay us. Like, it's not worth your money. Like, don't have us seed. It's too expensive. What I would say is I would say don't get us to core aerate this year. Take a rake and just sort of bash it up a little bit yourself and then seed to the seed that you have, but don't pay us this year. And then next year, instead of giving us like $300, just have us do the core aeration and then you seed yourself. And I thought that was just
Sick.
so cool that like this guy could have taken me for money this year and a lot of money next year. And I'd have been like, yeah, this seems fair. And he was like, no, like I don't, like that's not, like I almost wouldn't feel good taking that money from you.
That's so dope.
And I was like,
And now
that's
you're
cool.
sold.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you trust this guy forever.
Yeah, because I was
right?
on the fence about like I don't know if I should keep on the lawn care or whatever because like it's making it better, but I don't actually see it better, whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, now I'm good because like that took a customer kind of on the fence and being like, oh no, now I'm good because this guy
Yep.
knows, and I don't think that's what he was doing, but it's just like the genuine nature of that. I was like, oh no, that's very cool. So
Yeah, I think that this is the best way to be a businessman. Like, if you're honest and like take care of your customers, now you have a lifelong customer. Like, is there any reason you'd ever go to another lawn guy now? Absolutely not.
No.
You'd be like, what if this guy's fucking me? No way.
yeah,
Like, at least I
mean-
know that guy told me the truth.
exactly. And there are so many lawn trucks that are around. Like I see so many different companies around my town that I figure that they're competitively priced because if they weren't, they wouldn't be around, right? So that's as a baseline. And now, yeah, just an honest, good dude, right? So
Awesome. That's awesome. Good for him. Thumbs
Yeah.
up to that guy.
yeah,
Go give him
seriously.
a good Yelp review or something.
Oh yeah, I should do that. That's all the news that I've been up to. I think Vikings lost again. Super cool. Very
Steelers
very cool.
Steelers are postponed as of today.
Yep, to Monday
So
or
they-
Tuesday. In theory, we'll see how that goes because the Titans have COVID.
Big surprise, right?
Yeah, I mean when you have a cornerback like Ryan Gosling on your team, they can't catch anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't quite. It's actually the inverse, but I'm just trying. There's some kind of Gosling. Remember the Titans joke there or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, there is. There is. He's a liability.
Yeah, man. We have a Patreon page here in the show, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenden, Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, and Dan the Duke Hayden for supporting us the $5
Yes,
a
thank
month
you guys.
level or above. Thank you all so much.
Appreciate it. Seriously.
If you want to join in on the fun, toofast2forever.com. I post all of the episodes early. If you're a $10 a month patron, you get to pick what we watch. Like Larson got to pick these music videos today. Whatever
Yeah.
you want us to watch on theme, on brand, toofast2forever.com.
The minute documents almost done for the first movie, man.
We
We're
are
getting close
almost
to the
done.
end there.
We are almost done. It's crazy to think about.
It's super dense. It's like how many? Like it's like 100 and some pages, right? It's fucking long.
Oh, it's very long. It's so long that it takes time for my computer to open it.
Same, and yeah, we use Google Docs for it. We broke 200 pages today.
Oh,
my
201. Very, very cool.
friend. Very cool.
We also have an email address here on the show, family@cageclub.me. And Joe, we have two quick emails.
Okay.
First from Wells, and I don't know what this is, because I looked back at the last email and it wasn't referring to that. I didn't forget, I just didn't remember.
Okay.
It says Kevo 2. I forgot to say Kevo 2. Kevo and Nico. I feel like a jerk, haha.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't talk about Nico and Kevo the last email, so maybe it was 2 emails ago? I don't know.
I kind of consider them like a tandem. I don't exclude them, and I don't think that you were being exclusionary in saying just Nico. I got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
And that's it. That was the entire email from Wells. So, Wells, you're all good. We're not, no harm, no
we're all
foul. They
good,
also,
man.
I barred them. I don't know if they would anyway, but I said do not listen to the opening
the
because we didn't want to
intros,
spoil
true.
things. But they know that Han is back. That's the big spoiler, right? So, like, they
Yeah.
probably can by this point, but, And the other
knows?
email from Alex Ellenen, subject line, you like calves, Joey. Calves.
Why were we talking so much about? Oh, we were talking about the Cavs.
Well, that's why it's here.
because-
That's why it's here. He says, listen to the calf
Okay.
discussion. I definitely remember that episode of True Life. I can't get those visuals out of my head.
This is so weird that we all have this memory. Strange. Okay.
I don't know if it was on a lot or just memorable. I don't know what was going on, but it is vivid in my brain, right?
It must have been like one of the first episodes of it, and like we all were like, okay, this is the new show, and like something cool was on before it, and we like saw the commercial and we started it, and it was like calves, like first
I
thing.
don't I remember still like the horror I think the horizontal slices where they like
Yes, I do
inserted.
too.
He says, but the easiest way to build calves is just be fat for a few years. Big dudes always have big calves. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself as I drive past the gym on the way to Taco Bell.
Thumbs up. I approve. We have like one friend in our fantasy hockey group chat, and he's always talking about like working out, and like a couple of us are married. Like he's younger than us by like 4 or 5 years, and like a couple of us are married and stuff, and we're like, keep working out for us, bud. Like you do it. Like go for it. Like we're all old and fat now. We just drink beer and hang out. Like you're good.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Alex. Taco Bell over Barbell for sure.
Ooh, ooh,
You like that one?
I do. That's all the emails. If you want to email family@cageclub.me, it doesn't have to be long and involved. It can be a thing about calves, or it can be a thing about,
Yeah.
correcting an earlier email. We'll take all comers. Family@cageclub.me. Joe, on the streets, there's two things about the same person, but number one, the big thing, The Rock officially endorsed Joe Biden. Good for him, because we were talking
Which
about
we
how
talked about
Kristen
this.
Shaw
Yeah.
and Dave Bautista called him out for needing to act presidential, and then within maybe 2 weeks, yeah,
That's cool. Yeah. I lean on the it's kind of his choice thing to do, but that's very, very awesome and good for The Rock. I'm proud of him for making a stand.
and
Awesome.
especially when you look at his mentions and just seeing all the insanity of people like, oh, you're dead to me, like my kids are already burning your movies. Like a lot of
Dude,
that, if it's real, is very
it's not.
funny. But I think a lot of that is also just like because I don't know if you saw, but Roxana, past guest of the show, tweeted screenshots of
Yep, I
different
saw it.
people with the same verbatim text. So a lot of that is just Russian bots or whatever kind of manipulation
Oh yeah.
online that makes it seem like people are that angry or whatever, right? But
Yeah, it's weird. And then like a lot of these news stories will pick it up and be like fan outrage, and like somebody said that their kids are burning the DVDs, and it's like, well, 6 Russian bots said it, so
yeah. So it's
no.
just, I mean, the internet's a terrible place to be, but I'm glad that The Rock took a stand. I'm glad that his stand, aligns with mine. And I am bummed that so many people are like, "Might you ruin my children's childhood?" Or just like, come on, people.
Also, I like the posthumous boycotting thing. Like, I'm gonna burn all the DVDs I already bought from you. Like, well, cool, dude. He doesn't give a fuck. He already got paid for those.
Yeah,
Like, that doesn't do anything. Like, you'd be like, I could never see a Rock movie again. Like, he still doesn't care, but that's like a real threat, right? Like, if you go like, sports fans do this all the time. Like, I'm gonna go burn his jersey. Like, you already bought the jersey. Who the fuck cares, right? Like,
I thought you were going to refer to. I mean, that's the better point. But I thought you were going to refer to the sign that I saw in my town that I sent a picture of,
no.
where there's like all around my town. I mean, everywhere, but like around my town, like this little liberal hub or whatever. There's all these signs wherever like we believe in science and whatever, and like Black Lives Matter
Yeah.
signs and whatever. There's a lot of those, and some houses have a ton of them. And then now that there are all the election ones, like people running locally, there's Biden Harris signs, there's
Yes.
Trump Pence signs,
Yes.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then there was one where it says the NFL has no home here, which I guess is just parodying kind of the hate has no home here, which are all over my town.
Yes.
But I was like, this is so funny because it's so fucking stupid. And I sent the picture to my friends. Like, of course, like they're not going to play NFL on your shitty lawn. Like, what are you talking about? If there's no NFL has no home here.
And like when your stance is like, I don't do this thing here. It's like, okay, nobody cares, dude. Like, just don't watch the NFL. Like, that's how you're gonna fuck them. Like, I don't need to know that you're not watching the NFL. Like, I don't care. Cool.
Friend of the show, obviously, patron of the show, Wes Hampton, one of his favorite. Like the Twitter he runs is a fan account for the pot. It's such a weird rabbit hole. There's two musicians, Chris and Jeff is Jeff Rosenstock, and he's this punk musician. He's awesome. They have a podcast together about Lost, and so they have a Twitter about Lost, about their show, but then Wes is kind of a fan Twitter of that show, whatever. It's a weird rabbit hole. People I think who listen to this probably have some sense of that. But Jeff
Yeah,
Rosenstock
yeah.
wrote a song, or he was in a band called Bomb the Music Industry, and he wrote a song that like my friends love, and we were talking about in the chat with Wes the other night, called "The Shit That You Hate," and like the refrain in that at the end is "The shit that you hate doesn't make you special," and it's just like people are like,
Perfect.
"I'm never watching the NFL." It's like, cool, good. Nobody gives a shit. Like nobody cares what you don't like.
care.
Just shut the fuck. Like who cares? Just shut up and move on.
Exactly, 100% with you. As much as liking something dumb isn't a personality, not liking something is not a personality either.
The shit that you hate don't make you special. All
It
right,
does
Joe.
not.
There's one other thing I want to say that The Rock. I think we talked about this briefly a while ago. I forgot about it, but there's a Young Rock TV show about like his up and coming whatever. But he
Oh,
announced casting today. There's going to be 3 different aged Rocks in there. There's going to be like a 10-year-old Rock, like a 15-year-old Rock, and like a 25-year-old Rock or something.
oh,
And they
interesting.
announced that today. So if you want to take a look at that, I figure we'll probably cover it maybe at some point on this. I don't know,
Yeah, for
but
sure. We'll talk about it. I think
it's
so.
called Young Rock, and they announced the casting today, and like also of his mom and of his brother and stuff. Like so, yeah. There's a lot of Young Rock casting out there. If you want to check it out, it's on Slash Film, and I'm sure everywhere else because it's just everywhere else, right?
Makes sense.
Any of the news that you have seen?
No, none.
So let's get into the Ana Lucia Cortez Leticia Ortiz lost for 2 minutes because we
Oh,
are doing 2 episodes because she is not in the first one. The first episode called Maternity Leave, the second episode called The Whole Truth. And I was saying to you, I'm so glad that you like this show, but I wish that I had anything to do in this segment because like I can't
yes.
say anything about anything. And the way the second episode ends is maybe the most iconic ending to a Lost episode ever. The first one, I mean, it might be Charlie going, "Where are we?" like in the third or fourth episode, but Henry at the breakfast table just saying, "If I were one of them, here's what I would do." It's like, holy shit! Like, what is going? Like, it's one of the greatest
Yes.
moments to ever end a Lost, and I can't talk about it because I can't say what's going on.
We can talk about it next episode. But okay, so we get two. We get the first one had no Letty but was a great episode. The second one ended great but had a lot of Letty in it.
Yeah,
Okay?
first episode of Claire episode, second episode of Sun and Jin episode.
But it wasn't really a Claire like was this I had a question for you.
Yep.
Was this the first episode we've gotten that didn't actually have a flashback?
Well, so it has a flashback. It's the first episode though that has flashbacks to the island.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yes, these
So
are
that's what we're
flashbacks. They're
considering
just
it.
on the island. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. It was just like not this was the first time we didn't have non-island flashbacks.
And this is one that I vividly remembered because that sound they play, like instead of the swoosh, like the whoosh or whatever going back and forth in time, like the alarm or whatever that is so burned into my brain, like it's so jarring and so weird that like I was like, oh
Mm.
right, that's this episode. Okay, cool.
Okay, so yeah, this episode is Claire's baby has some kind of rash. She's all freaking out. She goes and finds the French woman.
Yep, Rousseau.
Who else was with them? I keep forgetting. Who was
Kate.
the third? Kate.
You got a French
Yeah,
woman,
that's why
an
I
Australian
deleted her.
woman, and a Canadian woman walking through the woods.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's like, she starts to remember because she talks to the psychiatrist or
Libby.
whatever.
Yep.
Like, I need to figure out because, like, I think I'm having these dreams or something, and like, I need this vaccine for my baby. I feel like I need it. She starts to like remember, and she realizes that Ethan was a doctor.
I don't know if he's a doctor, but he plays one on TV essentially.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's playing a doctor.
Remember, I mean, I
That
told you this a while ago, but you remember that actor is Tom Cruise's cousin, right?
Yes, I didn't remember, but I remember you telling me it, and I couldn't have told you that off the top of my head. But now that you said it, I remember. He's like a doctor, and he's like, and so they keep like drugging her. Did they take her more than one night? I don't remember. She was just gone. Rachel
She's gone
said,
for a
right?
while. Yeah.
She was gone for a while.
Like
So
I don't remember. It seems like a week maybe.
it seems like a week, and also they said in this episode like it's been a week since we started that. We tried to start a army or something. I was like, fuck, it's been like 20 episodes. They've been sedating her, and they're giving like her baby some kind of vaccine injections. Supposedly, we don't know. They're gonna keep the baby, but like get rid of her.
Yeah, they're convincing
Somehow.
her that that there's an infection on the island, but they only have enough medicine for one of them. And don't you want your baby to be safe? Like we're so sorry that we can't keep you, but like we're
Yes.
gonna keep your baby safe. And they have her so doped up that she's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much for taking care of my baby."
Ethan like weirdly kind of creeps on her a little bit, and it's like this can be
Oh
your
yeah, because he's
decision.
just a
And
creepy ass dude. Yeah.
and then she's like, I need to go back and get the vaccine. We get with the French woman, and like they find the place, the hatch that they're in, right?
Medical
Which is a
hatch,
different
yep.
hatch.
Yep.
She goes down. She's like looking for the vaccine. Well, they turn the power on, and I was like, okay, so the vaccine's either like not there or dead because it
Yep.
was in a fridge. We
Not
saw
refrigerated.
this,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, okay. And she gets there, she like opens the fridge, she's like, it's not here, and they're like, no shit, and it would have been dead anyway. Like we turned the power on. Did you not connect this as soon as we walked in? But something interesting that we saw is that they have like some kind of costume makeup. I don't know what the fuck that's about. but I'm sure that we will find
Well,
out.
you already would have if you were eagle-eyed and remembered things. The guy that Jack met in the woods is the guy who was in the
Yes,
hallway, and he's got a big old
Rachel.
bushy beard, and this guy now is clean-shaven, Tom Friendly.
Rachel said this, like, this is like not a spoiler, but like,
No,
if
yeah,
I
like
was paying
it's
attention
very it's
more.
very clear. It's meant to be very clear. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So it's like the guy that's like the head of the others, whatever. So they realize that like nothing's there. She realizes like the French woman saved her, didn't try to kill her. That's it, right? That's like the end of it.
Well, Mr. Echo goes to interrogate that part, but yeah, Mr.
Oh,
Echo goes to interrogate Henry Gale, and he
and
cuts
he
off
just
his
confesses to
beard
him.
things. Yes, but I love my favorite line in this episode is that Locke says to him when he's going in, "If the alarm goes off, don't tell them what it's for." And Mr. Echo goes, "What is it for?" And John Locke just makes like a face, just like I shouldn't. It's like I don't know, man, I don't know. Like none of us know, but just like don't talk to him about it.
Yeah, okay.
But then this is
That
also the
works.
beginning of the manipulation, like we saw recently. Charlie manipulating Locke, right? Because he knows that
Yeah.
Locke has an ego or whatever. Here, it's Henry manipulating Locke and saying, "I don't know why you let Jack make all the decisions." He's like, "Oh no, we don't." He's like, "Oh no, that you're right. I'm so sorry. That's my mistake." And
Yeah,
then
and
he
then
goes
Locke like
outside,
has
just
a
like
rage.
break shit. Yeah.
What a small child reaction for being such like a normal middle of the road man most of the time. So yeah, that was it, right? That's like the end of the episode. Then we get to the next one, the Letty one. It starts out with her running, which is just awesome. Like she's just like training for no
Just working
reason.
out. Yeah.
It's
Locke's
cool.
even like, "Keep it in shape. Good for you." It's like, what? Okay. I guess that's just okay. Yeah.
This is her version of doing pull-ups in Milton's
Because
Secret,
she's
right?
running like something is chasing her.
Yeah, yeah. So the episode starts, and I'm like, oh shit, she saw like a fire or something, right? Like, but no, she's just running and like stops and takes a drink of water. Locke's like, okay, everybody else has been talking to the guy in the hatch. Why don't you try?
Yeah, you were a
She's like,
cop. You talked to them already, and she's like, "Jack, no." And he's like, "I don't care about Jack." But then, like
yeah,
everybody
because
else
now he's,
knows, because yeah, Charlie, like, because Saeed obviously knows, because Saeed interrogated him, and then
yep.
Charlie's just hanging out with Saeed, so Charlie knows,
Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
except for Anna.
Exactly. This is like a very recurring theme in this part of Lost. It's like everybody will know except like one person, and you're
Except for
like,
whoever
yeah,
learns that episode. Yep.
exactly. In the same note, this is a Sun and Jin episode, and we find out that like Sun's pregnant, and we get like more of their flashback, and that she couldn't get pregnant, so this is like a Lost Island miracle
Well,
here.
it's not that she couldn't get pregnant. He
He
couldn't.
could,
He couldn't
yes, it was.
impregnate her, and so the island not only theoretically healed Locke, but also healed Jin.
Oh, true. Yeah, good point. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
way to look at it. And I was like, is this just gonna be like? I'm really hoping, just for my own sake, because I think it's funny that it starts out that like Sun gets pregnant, and then they just like kidnap her too, and the whole story of Lost is just like another woman getting pregnant
Oh
and
yeah,
then
it's
getting
just baby after
kidnapped.
baby. That's all it is. Yeah.
That's what
Season three is
like.
Kate's pregnant. Season four,
That's
Claire's
that's what I
pregnant
was
again.
hoping
Yep,
for.
all good.
Claire has Charlie's baby. They kidnap her again. Like it's just like this revolving door.
Yeah, it's weird that
of
everybody loves it because it's just so dumb after a while. Just the same story over and over again.
It's like the "we killed Kenny" joke. It's like another chick's pregnant. Like who's getting pregnant this season? We don't know. The most special person in the world.
Yeah.
They send Letty in. She's like, okay, like tell me all about like all the shit. Like why don't you have a beard? And like where the fuck's the hot air balloon that you crashed on? And like well all the shit. And she's like, okay,
Yeah, she says you flew around the world in a balloon and you don't think you can draw a good map? Like he's just like being he's being difficult. And she's like, "Come on, guy,
yes.
like get with it."
And she's like the first one that has like a smart idea that's like, hey, tell me where the balloon is. If I go and find the balloon, cool. I can at least believe that. Otherwise, you're partially full of shit. She gets the map, then she goes and tells Saeed because we have to tell everybody but one person. Saeed knows, and then her and Saeed, and then Charlie's like, well, I'm hanging out with you guys, so I'll come too. And they all go look for this hot air balloon, and it just decides it's raining the whole time. And they get to the point where like it should be and it's not there. And I'm like, this is kind of weird because like it would be hard to like if there was like a giant hot air balloon tarp. Didn't you say like one landed in your backyard once?
Yeah.
Listen to the story. It's huge, right? Like it's gonna be like
Yeah,
a
it's big. It's
fucking
very big.
massive.
Yep.
Like you'd be able to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and even if they tore it to use it as like a tarp or like a hammock or whatever the fuck you wanted to do, like
And
it's
he's
still gonna be
described it, I
like
think, as a big yellow smiley face balloon on the top, right? So like it's very noticeable no matter what.
yeah, and like you should be able to see it from like a while away, and there should be a ton of it. So yeah, but they don't find it, and Letty's like, let's keep looking for it, whatever. And then they cut back to him, and they're kind of like now befriending him. They let him out of his cell a little bit. He's eating cereal, and he has like questions and questions, and then he delivers the part that you were talking about, which is the like if I were an asshole and like one of them, I would have like drew them a map to go somewhere real fucked.
There'd be no balloon. I'd draw a map to reveal us to a real secluded place, like a cave or some underbrush. A good place for a trap, an ambush. When your friends
Yeah.
got there, a bunch of my people would be there waiting for them. They'd use them to trade for me. I guess it's a good thing I'm not one of them, huh? You guys got
Yeah,
any milk? It's like, uh-oh.
And that's it, in the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in it. I'm waiting for the next one.
There was one big other Anna episode, or one big Anna moment
Oh,
this episode.
yes.
Is that
Yes.
Saeed forgives her for killing Shen. He's like, I don't blame you, I blame them. Because, like, he realizes that she has PTSD from, like, her experiences with the others and not be able to trust people. Like,
Yes.
sure, she did a terrible thing, but, like, it's, it's the world being shitty to her. And so he forgives her, which I think is a very noble and good and kind thing. But now they are sort of united in their hate against the others.
That's true. And also, the other thing is Charlie had this line where she's like, Charlie, like, like something about your gun that you have. And he's like, I don't have a gun. She's like, you should give it to somebody who knows how to use it. And he's like, last time you had a gun, you murdered someone. And I was like, wow, like, what a shitty.
Oh yeah, like this, Charlie is in so far over his head in this episode. Like he should not be.
Always is.
The way that he like nonchalantly like takes the gun out of his pants and like pretends to hand it to Anna and then hands it instead to Saeed. It's just like, come on, guy. Like let's calm down. Like who are you showing off for? Like what is happening?
No, he's hanging out with Saeed, so he's like big dick on campus now. Like he thinks he's also like a master interrogator / torturer, right? Like, and you're like, no, you're not. You're just bored. You're a small child. But that was a good one. This is a good 2-episode tandem. I really like these two, and I'm excited. How many more do we have in this season?
We're about I think 2/3 or like we're somewhere between
Good.
a half and 2/3. There's a bunch left.
Didn't you say that this is like where it's like people were like this is where it picks up and like is
Yeah, I think
good?
2 and 3. I think people loved the beginning of 1 because like it's so full of wonder and mystery. But this is where like it opens up, and like 2 and 3, like I would say late 2 to late or mid 2 to like maybe late 3 is. It's
Yeah.
some of the really good stuff. Yeah.
You can feel it. I can feel it. Like it's already like super. Like I yell at the TV when I have to stop an episode, right? Like so that's a good sign.
Oh, the next
Either
one I
way.
will tell you. The next one is called Lockdown, and aside from the finale this season 2 finale, it is the highest rated episode of the season since other. It's tied with the premiere. So the premiere and finale are always like people love those because they're usually big things happen. But this is the highest rated one that isn't the premiere or the finale. So
Oh, interesting. That is cool then. Okay, good. I'm curious to see what happens then. I had some weird theory, but I forgot it.
I will
think
also
it's
say, and
all the women.
I don't think I said this. Michael Emerson, who plays Henry Gale, was hired
Yeah.
for 3 episodes, and this was supposed to be the end of it. But he was so good that they wanted to keep him around. So it's kind of like
interesting.
the first season of Breaking Bad where Jesse was supposed to die, and then the writer's strike happened.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, Aaron Paul's actually great.
That's cool. That's a cool factor there. I like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Next episode's a really good episode. Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm assuming it's a lock episode.
I don't remember. Like I read the summary, but it's there's a lot of stuff that happens on the island, both in the hatch and outside the hatch. So, any other thoughts about this double dip of Lost?
No, I liked watching 2, and it actually felt nice because we haven't done one in a while.
Yeah, we took the episode off because of Tokyo Drift. Yep.
Yeah, so it was nice to have 2 at this time.
Yeah.
So that was good. The thing knowing that like Letty's not in one, it was like, oh, that's cool, but it didn't spoil anything.
Right. I mean, because
So,
there's so much
yeah.
going on the island that, like, Jack might not. I mean, Jack's gonna be in every episode. But, like, Jack could not be in like 6 episodes. You'd be like, all right, where's Jack been? All right. It's like there's just so many
Yeah.
stories that you could tell that everything does. Like, not everyone has to be involved in everything, right? So.
Truth.
All right, the next thing to do, the final thing to do before we take a break is the Fast and the Furious minute 89. A minute I called because I'm not sure. I have so many questions about this. MAPD question mark?
Agreed. Good title.
I'm off duty MAPD. I need a life flight rollout right away. My 20 is Highway 86, mile marker 147. I got one trauma victim, about 24 years of age, 6 foot, maybe 200 pounds. He's got real deep laceration to his right arm with arterial bleeding. And he's got a shotgun wound, close range to his left flank. Yeah, and he's going into shock.
So in this minute, Brian calls in medical help for Vince as Dom silently stews over the long-term betrayal. Medical help arrives via helicopter. Brian and 2 medical techs bring Vince on a stretcher to the helicopter. Helicopter pilot prepares to take off as Dom and Mia look on from afar. And the first thing I would say is that music is back. It's been 8 minutes since we had music of any kind. But this is, I don't know if you recognize the song, this is like the main theme back again. This is the BT, this is the nitrous / title sequence back again. So it's kind of like a reprise of sorts. Sort of a return to the main theme as the movie winds down.
Yeah, it has like like it has this weird.
Only one line of dialogue. It's like a long line of dialogue, but it's just Brian talking. So there's not much there. But things mixed up last minute when, in a good way, we're no longer chasing each other down the highway, but now there's even more stuff. A new vehicle.
There is, and so I had a fun time with this. Right, Brian says he needs life flight. And Life Flight's like its own thing, so its own company, right? Like everybody refers to like a helicopter medic as Life Flight, but it's like a brand name. It's like calling stuff Kleenex, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I did that, and I was like taking down the number and stuff like that of the helicopter, and I had a revelation as I'm doing this. I go, hey, we use Car Movie Database. There was that time that we found the Watch Movie Database. I was like, I wonder if there's a helicopter movie database. And there's an airplane movie database. So I went to the airplane movie database. I found out exactly what kind of helicopter it is. It's an Augusta A109C. It's linked there, which actually, like, I clicked on the vehicle then, and it's been in, like, so many fucking movies. Like, every movie uses this helicopter. Batman versus Superman and, like, all kinds of other. Jurassic World or something. Like, a whole bunch of them use it.
Oh, yeah, it's in a ton. It's in SWAT. The movie we just covered a couple episodes ago. It's in SWAT as well.
There you go.
Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5. Yeah, it's in like dozens of things.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the list was a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I guess that there's really not that many helicopters. It's not like cars, right? There's not like a bajillion of them.
I honestly have no idea. If you were like, there's 8 helicopters in the world, or there's like 2 million types, I'd be like, yeah, both of those sound right. I have no idea.
I would imagine, because, okay, like, we're looking at, like, freighters last time, right? Like, and there you had, like, Volvo, Freightliner, Peterbilt, right? Like, there's just, like, less options.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there's, like, less helicopter manufacturers. There's probably, like, if I had to guess, it'd be, like, 4 or 5. And it's probably, like, they make 3 models each, so there's, like, 25 different types of helicopters, so they're going to use one of them. The other cool thing is, Brian tells us, I have, like, a long tangent to go on, but we'll get back to the point eventually. Brian tells us, he's like, his 20 is Highway 86, mile marker 147.
Yep.
So I'm like, dope. All I need to do is find mile marker 147 on Route 86. I went down this rabbit hole where apparently California doesn't actually use mile markers.
Okay.
They use a thing called post miles, and you can look up the post mile of the thing, and it's like this weird complicated, my brain still doesn't like it. It tells you the mile marker of the highway, but only for that stretch of highway going like one direction, and like you have to select the highway and the town that you're in, because it changes like when you're in a different town, I think. Either way, I could not find it using the post mile services thing. I went to the DOT of California to try to figure it out, and let me send you this website just because I want you to see this like wacky shit.
Well, I'm wondering, as you do that, like, I'm wondering if there's no reason to be vague, but the same way that Brian does not say he's LAPD, he says he's MAPD, and I even Googled, because the line is, I'm off-duty MAPD, and I was like,
yes.
That's not a thing we know. And so I Google it, I'm off-duty MAPD, and there's a whole thing on filmboards.com from like 8 to 10 to 12 years ago. And they're saying, like, people are like, it's almost like, is this dress blue and gold or whatever? I don't remember the colors, but like, it's people like, oh no, like, you're an idiot if you don't hear LAPD. And there are people like, I only hear MAPD. Like,
I only hear MAPD. Yeah. I watched the minute before I even came to the document, because I like to do like a clean watch without like anything that you usually do get to the minute before me. So like, I like to watch it clean and then like see the things that I notice, so I'm not like influenced by what you had. And I was like, oh, he says MAPD, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And then you had it in the document too, so I was like, oh fuck yeah, you heard it too. Okay, cool.
Because I don't know what it could stand for. Like, it's maybe like people on that forum, that board, are saying maybe metropolitan area, maybe Malibu area. Maybe
that's what I would guess.
Because again, like, he's not a good cop. but like other people say LAPD, like other movies have LAPD. I don't like this is not like the worst LAPD officer that we've ever seen in the movie, right?
Yeah, and it's not like that. It's not like LAPD's not used in other movies either, where it's like like nobody uses like a real football team's name. They're always like the Sharks or something, right?
Right.
So
I was so confused because like I always thought, and people were like, "Do you think it's Miami?" Like thinking like working in Miami and like on loan to LA. People were like that doesn't make any sense because like he just goes to Miami, right? Like it's not like he was from there.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
But people are trying to make sense of it in a way, and other people are just like, "No, you're dumb if you don't hear it. It's obviously LAPD." It's like, no, it's not. Like, and I think we're watching. Like, I took the minute and I just ripped it off the Blu-ray and I just chopped it up. And so there's no other audio tracks, there's no other subtitles, there's nothing. So I can't do it this way. But I think from what I was reading online, the subtitle and for the record, the script that I've been getting, like the rough draft of the dialogue from, both the subtitles and the script say MAPD. So I think I would say 98% MAPD. I just don't know what it stands for. So
okay, I sent you the thing on Facebook. Click it, just open it, and see this like goofy ass website. Just because I wanted to show it to you.
Opening.
So you technically could use this website to find what I want, but I can't figure it out, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. There's like all kinds of like weird codes you need to know, and like I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out what the codes.
Oh yeah, this is not like a consumer site. Like this is just like this is like somebody like this is a lot of people's like daily job. They're like, oh, I got to use PostMile, I got to use Caltrans. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so I couldn't figure it out, but I did go to Highway 86. I went south of Thermal on a point. Now I know from Post Miles that he's probably in, what was it, like Riverside. So in Riverside Township, which is like the longest stretch, which would have a mile marker 147, most likely. I'm thinking that this is where it is, and I put a link to it in the document. Based on the background, and we see the helicopter come down, we see the mountain behind Dom. Tell me that the view that you get right there doesn't seem like right where the helicopter comes down.
Yeah.
And presumably where Vince is on the ground.
No, I think that definitely could be. I mean, the entire thing might look like that. I don't know, but yeah, that definitely looks like it could be. And if that's, I believe it's CA 86, Thermal, California, somewhere outside Thermal, right? Like, yeah, this is all.
Yes.
There's no better. We don't have a better option, right? So.
No, this is as close as you're gonna get. And you can walk up and down the highway, and you look that there's like that little bridge thing that they cross. I went back to minute 84, rewatched that. It has a whole bunch of these like little like looks like bridges things, 2 lanes, 1 way. I would assume because they're coming from Thermal, they're going south as opposed to going north, right? Because they're like the cars were in Thermal, so why would they have gone behind the truck to come back around to the truck?
Very cool. I'm going to take this helicopter and put it up in car. I don't know if it's a car, but I'm going to put it under cars. Cars and car details. Life flight.
Oh, okay.
Augusta A109C. Heist
That makes
locations.
total sense.
Cool. Yeah, there's the helicopter techs. There's the guy. There's 2 techs and the one in the front. They're just in full-body blue jumpsuits with the back that says paramedic, fire, and rescue.
Yes.
The only thing of real note, they're also not credited on IMDb, not even as like helicopter pilot or EMT or whatever. Like, not even in the uncredited extras where somebody's agent or whatever is like, you were in this movie. Like let's get you added to the thing, right? Like they're not even like that. Like it's just like these people don't exist in the movie, right? But the one thing of note that Brian says that I think should be our trivia question is roughly how old is Vince? Because he says...
That's a good question.
I got one trauma victim about 24 years of age, 6 foot, maybe 200 pounds.
Excellent question. I love it. He says it. It's relative. Perfect.
It's also maybe our shortest question. Roughly how old is Vince? 22.
Roughly how old does Brian say Vince is?
I was trying to keep it short. Okay. Roughly how old does Brian say Vince is? 24 years old. Ooh, this is our 100th question.
Nice.
I know when you copy this and send to your friends, it doesn't copy the bold, but I think it'd be very funny if it copied the bold too, and you were like, God, they get every question right. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I know, right? They don't. No, it's just text. It goes right to Facebook chat to see what their response is.
MAPD question mark? 89 minutes, 100 questions. Roughly how old does Brian say Vince is? 24 years old. Let's take a break and come back and talk about 3 music videos starring Michelle Rodriguez.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 131. Michelle Rodriguez music videos. This episode is brought to you by Music Memory Mighty Music School. Music selections are thoroughly learned in an engaging and a highly effective way where students explore the music from the inside out, and they are helped to actively listen to all the elements of the music, melody, harmony, form, dynamics, etc., that make each music masterpiece different from all the others. Shout out to Music Memory.
Well, shout out to Mighty Music Memory, and shout out to Christian Larson for these picks. This is something, we talked about when we did Milton's Secret, that we never would have watched that movie if Haley hadn't picked it.
True.
I don't know that I ever would have known that Michelle Rodriguez was in 3 music videos if it wasn't for Larson. So shout out Larson for picking these, and also giving us a little bit of a week off. This is an easy lift in terms of the 10 minutes or whatever of the music videos.
True, very, very true. I appreciated that a lot, bud. You didn't know how much of a nice favor you did for us. But I like these music videos because, I knew 2 of the songs, didn't know 1. We get a nice stretch here. We'll talk about it, but there's lots of different pieces moving here.
So there are 3 music videos. There's Lenny Kravitz's If I Could Fall in Love, Demi Lovato's Confident, and Drake's Nice for What?
Yes.
The first one is what should be maybe the most interesting. I think is the least interesting, because this is, I didn't remember this song, but this was on the soundtrack of and the main theme for apparently the movie Blue Crush. So this was released or written for that movie. So this is the 4th single off his album Lenny, released in December 2002. It was the main theme for, like I said, and the soundtrack of Blue Crush. It was directed. I did a little bit more digging in the background of these because I need to do something in terms of prep. So this was directed by Jonas Ackerlund, who has made a couple of movies recently. He made a movie called Lords of Chaos. He made a movie with Mads Mikkelsen called Polar. But he's done a bunch of music videos. He also did Lemonade, Beyonce's visual album, which is great.
That's cool.
He, I guess, is maybe best known for directing a bunch of, I think, Madonna's videos, including Ray of Light, which won a Grammy for Best Music Video, and won a record 7 VMAs, including Video of the Year. So this guy is a really accomplished music video director, and now has done feature films and Lemonade and whatever. But it's hard, I think, to watch a 2002 music video in, 240p on my TV, that, compared to the beautiful, filmed for the internet of the later 2, this is kind of a difficult one to watch.
But it gave me a nice nostalgia because, we always bring up things like Kiss from a Rose and all of these things, and it was a simpler time when you had a music video that was for the movie, right? And they kind of include the movie characters in the music video and this kind of tandem play. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Although you're right, just resolution wise there's problems, because it's difficult to watch to our brains now.
Yeah, it's just it's unfortunate. There's nothing we can do about it, right? So
yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. But I did like that, and I was really excited. I was when I saw her, I was oh, it looks like she's in Blue Crush. It might have been around the same time.
Yep. Not
knowing how it was going, and then no, they lean into it. I see the other girl from Blue Crush.
Kate Bosworth's in there, and the third one too, whose name I still do not know. But yeah, they're all in this. They're all I feel there's more of an opportunity to do a tie-in, and only there's one shot of a surfing scene
it's mostly
3 minutes into the 4-minute video. It's just oh, okay.
Yeah, but they still kind of have the beach vibe, the bungalow vibe, and the song wasn't bad. Did you know this song? I didn't know this.
Think so. I think I really only know Lenny's hits.
Same. So I was okay, this is cool and enjoyable. But we do get a lot of Michelle Rodriguez in it for her being a cameo in a music video and it being a movie music video,
and being so early in her career too.
But I thought the coolest part is she is firmly Letty in this music video.
How so?
Just clothing and just style-wise. As much as, in Blue Crush, she was kind of teetering on this she has, mesh tank top, Olive Vince going on. She's in the club, she has sunglasses on. It looks like they just, took her straight out of this and put her right into the first Fast and the Furious movie. The styling, I was oh, damn. It really felt like the costume designer. She was I like those costumes from that music video. Let's do that for Fast and the Furious. And everybody's cool, that works.
Yeah. It feels like we have the 3, it's Kate Bosworth and Michelle Rodriguez, and the third one from Blue Crush. They're in the first couple minutes, and then it seems like they all disappear, and there's other women, and kind of just brooding, moody shots, and then I think they kind of return by the end, but...
Yeah, there's other girls that are part of the music video crew.
What I feel could have been the most interesting, because it's tied into a movie, and could have had the opportunity for a narrative, doesn't really have a narrative in the way that especially the Demi Lovato music video does.
Yes.
But there's not really like a thing, like it's just shots of Letty, shots of Michelle Rodriguez just like putting on clothes or walking around or laughing or whatever. It's like there's nothing she's really doing. It's more the way she looks. And to your point, like it works. It captures her mood and her aesthetic, but it's, I don't know.
And I had like some other things, like I kind of started to drift a little bit for all of the vehicles and things that we see in Fast and Furious. Like, how do we never have any skateboarding? Don't you think that like Jesse would have been a skateboarder? Maybe this is a new wave thing. Maybe we can bring the new kids in, and when like we establish, the Billie Eilish character, she can be a skateboarder.
Just like a skateboarding teen. Or like we'll bring in Steve Buscemi as his character from 30 Rock.
God. Yeah, exactly. But no, I was like, when I was watching that, I was like, damn, dude, we never get skateboards in this at all. It's like all cars. Because we don't get bicycles either. I think we've talked about that too. I guess maybe some in Tokyo Drift, like...
Oh, actually, in a deleted scene in Tokyo Drift, which we did not talk about last episode, but there is, like, next to Sean's dad's house, there's, like, just a bike rack. There's, like, 6 bikes, right? So,
yeah.
There's bikes in these movies, but yeah, here, just, cars.
I like this one for what it was, and I liked seeing her dressed as Letty. I thought that was pretty cool, so...
Yeah. The next one is the big one, I think. Or do you have anything else to say about the Lenny Kravitz video?
No. I think you're right. I think the next one is the biggest one.
And it's big for a couple different reasons. So number one, I mean, this is a song that I did not know by name, but as soon as it started, I was like, oh yeah, no, I've heard the song a million times.
100% with you, buddy. Like I was like, I don't think I know this song. And then as soon as I put it on, I was like, I know exactly what song this is. Yep, it was everywhere. Yep.
So the cool thing about this is that this was directed by Robert Rodriguez, film director. I will spoil Future in the Lap. Directed 3 other movies that we're going to be covering with Michelle Rodriguez in it. He did both Machete movies.
Ooh.
Machete Kills. He also did Alita Battle Angel, which he's barely in, but we're covering for other reasons.
Okay.
But Robert Rodriguez did the...
He's not related to her, right?
I don't think so.
When I saw the name, I didn't put up that it was Robert Rodriguez, and I was thinking, like, could this possibly be someone of affiliation with her, be it husband or brother, cousin, something.
Let's just call Brian Rodriguez and see if he's involved.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I knew that it was silly to ask that, but at the same time, I was
I don't think so. I think I was thinking about like a joke of like, why wouldn't you hire someone with the same last name as you? But there's millions of Rodriguez's, right? Like,
yeah, there definitely is. Yep.
Get A-Rod in there too. He made the TV series From Dusk Till Dawn, the series. Demi Lovato played a role of Maya on that show, and so while meeting him through that, asked him to direct this video, and he said yes. The cool thing, in terms of, maybe cool just for me and for Wes, is that this was shot at Troublemaker Studios in Austin, which was probably 5 or 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, like 5 minutes from where I used to live when I was down there.
Very
where
cool.
the old airport used to be.
Before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this came out in 2015. There were guest appearances from Michelle Rodriguez, 2 people I don't know, and then Jeff Fahey. So the guy who plays her boss, I guess?
Like the evil villain, like the super villain guy? Okay, yeah.
Like it seems like he's Michelle Rodriguez's boss until, spoiler, she rebels against him and takes down his guys with Demi Lovato. I love him in Planet Terror, which is the half of Grindhouse that Robert Rodriguez made. But, of note to you, kind of, is that he shows up in, I think, season 4 of Lost?
Oh, cool.
So I won't tell you, obviously, who he is or how he gets there or whatever. But yeah. So he...
and by then I'll forget anyways, but
he's in the future of Lost, which is pretty cool. Like, he's just a character actor, like, oh, that guy. But yeah, no, I love him in things, and it was cool to see him here in a wordless role as just evil bad guy who gets beaten up, essentially.
And the connection that you have between him and her both being in Lost is very interesting.
Truly, yeah.
I was more focused on the storyline, the plot. It starts at a maximum security prison, and that felt very Hobbsy to me, right?
Sure.
Like either him taking them there, the prison that Brian goes to, that Braga's at, or things like that. It felt very reminiscent of that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You get the whole Michelle Rodriguez fighting scenes.
Yes.
There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat that was a lot of like her and Gina Carano. Style from 6, so I was like, oh, that's also very cool.
So I guess the story of this video is that Demi Lovato is arrested and branded with a barcode, and she keeps escaping. Like they keep trying to transport her places, and she keeps breaking out.
I think they first set her out to capture Letty. I think it felt like the first one was like they put her on a mission to go capture Michelle Rodriguez, and she gets like flanked or like surprised, ambushed. She gets ambushed by the rest of Michelle Rodriguez's crew.
Right.
They arrest her instead. So, but your way makes way more sense.
I mean,
that
it's
she's like, escaping.
definitely. I don't know. Like,
It's a music video, so you can't put
yes,
too much into the
exactly.
plot.
And
Yeah.
there's no dialogue. It's the song that doesn't. Again, I made a Lewis Black reference in the last episode talking about the roofer and the snow or whatever. But like, he made a joke on. I don't know why I keep thinking about Lewis Black, but he made a joke on like one of his first albums about like, if you watch a music video, and again, this is just his bitter asshole wit or whatever. But he's like, if you watch a music video, like if you hear a song and then what you picture for the music video is the actual music video, kill yourself. Like, it's because it never has anything to do with anything, right? Just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a song about being confident and about female empowerment, and Michelle Rodriguez talks about how the song is so cool. I love the message behind it about girls believing in themselves, girls who are hating on each other, then all of a sudden join forces. So, like, that's the message of this. Like, what's going on? You're kind of following a story, but essentially, Demi Lovato and Michelle Rodriguez are on opposite sides of something, the law or whatever. In the end, they team up to take down the actual male oppressor. And, like, that's how they get there, what's actually happening, who knows, but that's the gist of it.
Yes, exactly.
But it's cool to see them fighting, you're right. What I think is new to the franchise, and kind of new to, in at least recent memory, is we get, not shirtless Letty, but like showing off her like incredible six-pack like physique, just like with that
She's
crop
very
top
shredded.
shirt. Considering how in shape she is, I feel like they always have her in like a wife beater or whatever, an A shirt or whatever we're supposed to call those shirts now, right? Like,
Yes.
because we had bikini and blue crush, we even talked about then like the board shorts, but here she's got like practical fighting apparel, but also like, oh no, she is feminine and beautiful and also ripped, right? Like, it's just like, it's
Which
a cool
Yeah.
middle ground that we don't normally see.
No, I agree with you. It was like when we were watching SWAT at one point.
When they go to the bar, right? I think you were talking about when they go to the bar, yeah, and SWAT.
Yeah, and like how strange it is to see her being dressed like, or like when she was a teacher in Milton's Secret, and they like let her be I mean, minus her doing push-ups on handlebars.
Yeah.
They like let her like dress not in baggy cargo pants for once.
Yeah, not
And it
in
was
like in essentially military garb.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, this was much better.
I just like the overall, girl power vibe.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, and I like them realizing that they're both branded, that they've both been through this, and be like, oh no, like we can team up, we should be in the same thing, and to see them like get in the same car and track him down, whatever. Like, it's a cool, like, it looks beautiful. Like, he's got his distinctive, kind of like a little bit like B movie aesthetic, kind of shot and chopped in a certain way, but I just love the way that he shoots stuff, and I love this. Like, this is the cool. The next video I like for different reasons, but like, this is like, oh, there's like actually like a story. Like, there's things going on here.
You also get a shot of her following a prison bus and breaking out of that too, you know?
Yeah, I don't have a particular affinity toward Demi Lovato one way or the other, but like, I don't think I ever would have watched a Demi Lovato music video, right? But like I never even heard, knowing how much I like Robert Rodriguez, like I never even knew that he directed this, right? So like, the fact that this like slipped by my radar, like I was happy that we talked about this.
Yeah, and I like the song. Like, the song doesn't bother me at all, so I was glad that I got to listen to it and now know what that song is.
Yeah.
For like all the times that I fucking heard it. Like, you're right, like I'm not like a huge Demi Lovato fan, so, but I knew the song, and I like pop music. It doesn't bother me, so.
And then the third and final video that she's been in, and I would assume, I looked briefly, I didn't see, I want to look if there's any others. I don't think there are any others. I assume that Larson would have, these are the only music videos that she's ever been in, but I think that it's a nice blend of the three different types of things, right?
Yes.
So this is Drake's Nice for What. This is from 2018 off his album Scorpion, directed by Karina Evans, who did 5 Drake music videos, one for Coldplay. She's now doing some TV work.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
Because a lot of directors get their start in music videos, but it feels like she's one of the 3 who hasn't really broken through yet.
Yes, yeah.
But, now that she's starting, like, there's that new, again, shout out Stars show P Valley, which I think is about a strip club maybe in the Deep South, I think.
That sounds interesting. Sounds
She
like it's up my
did
alley.
at least 1 or 2 episodes of that too. So like, she's kind of following the path of music video to TV to maybe features in the next couple of years or whatever, right? So
Person to watch. Person of interest.
yeah. There's not really a story here, right? This is just like beautiful women being beautiful while Drake is like dancing around in a fur coat.
So this is what I wanted to talk to you about. That this music video, I mean, it's a Drake music video, and he's definitely done ones that are more like short filmy. But this one cracked me up. It seems like they gave him a budget for a music video, and he's just like, okay, call a bunch of big name actresses that I want to like hang out with possibly, and get them to shoot like 30 seconds of footage, and we'll use 3 of it. And it kind of works. It's fun.
The total list, so there was on Wiki, I copied this. Olivia Wilde, Misty Copeland, Issa Rae, Rashida Jones, Jordan Dunn, Tracy Ellis Ross, Tiffany Haddish, Yara Shahidi, Zoe Saldana, Elizabeth and Victoria Leon Harta, Letitia Wright, Bria Vinate, Emma Roberts, Sid, Michelle Rodriguez, and then of course Drake. But it's just like, oh, that's a bunch of names. When Emma Roberts shows up toward the end, I was just like,
Yes.
she feels out of place, but okay.
It's like a weird thing where, like,
We just talked about her too. Like, remember we talked about her in the intro. What episode would that have been? The intro to SWAT, when we were talking about Strange Days and Juliette Lewis and Justin saying, I can't believe you guys don't know her. And we talked about Juliette Lewis being the mom in Nerve. So Emma Roberts in a weird Nerve Fast and Furious universe connection, right? Like,
yeah, right. I think that it also plays into where, like, if you were Emma Roberts, who is a star. If you're like a star and you're like on a TV show and Drake calls you and is like, "Hey, I really like American Horror Story. Do you want to be in my music video?" You'd be like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Like, it's a really dope cameo. It's like a weird symbiotic kind of fun time thing, right? Like if Tiffany Haddish too. Like, I'm sure that Drake was like, "Tiffany Haddish, do you want to be in my music video?" And she's like, "Fuck yeah, of course I do." Like,
I think it would
why
also be
wouldn't
really
I?
funny if Drake was like, growing up, I really loved Julia Roberts, and like I can't get, like, she doesn't really fit the aesthetic of this, but I can get her niece, right? So
Well, he has all those fucking tattoos of women all over him.
no, I didn't. I don't really know anything about Drake other than he's from Toronto.
Oh, really? Like, he keeps getting, like, tattoos of, like, famous women on him. Like, he had, like, an Aaliyah one, and he keeps, like, adding to it and keeps, like, adding more portraits. Like, his whole body is portraits.
So this is on brand for him, especially on brand for him.
Yeah, he seems to enjoy beautiful women.
Sure.
Is which his lyrics seem to agree with. So
He appreciates a fine body regardless of the make, as long as it's a beautiful woman.
as long as it's a beautiful woman that he can tattoo on his body. So he just seems to be doing this, like, over and over again. It's like, I like Drake, but I have this, like, give and take with him. Also, dude, I don't know if I said it before, but
If a given Drake,
I was a big fan of Drake, and then I saw him on the episode of, like, Punk'd, and it was, like, the most soft bullshit that I've ever seen in my life. Like, did you ever watch Punk'd?
forever ago, yeah. Not
Okay.
in the era when Drake ever would have been on.
For some reason, I found, like, the episode of, like, Drake on Punk'd. Like, just that clip. There's, like, a pregnant woman, and there's, like, an earthquake in this, like, parking garage. And she's like, "I need to get in the car with you. Like, I'm unsafe." And he's like, "No, stay out there. I'm famous." And I was like, oh, Drake, come on, man. Like, which is, like, the opposite of, like, the Jadakiss one. Jadakiss is, like, in a stopped car and just, like, starts cussing out all these people. And is, like, very Jadakiss, right? Like, he just, like, it's just real as can be. And he's like, "Nah, fuck you. I'm reading this magazine. If you want to move the car, you can move the car. I'm sitting here." He's like, "I'm not the driver. I don't touch the car." Like, they were trying to get him to, like, move this car to, like, continue on the prank, and he just wouldn't do it. But Drake's was, like, very scaredy and, like, "Don't come near me. I'm afraid of what might happen."
So before we get to Michelle Rodriguez, who is in this video probably less than anyone else, but also is more memorable than anyone else, I do want to say that this music video begins with one of my all-time crushes, my all-time celebrity crushes of Olivia Wilde. If you listen to High School Slumber
Yes.
Party,
Yeah.
I've talked about my love of her, both as an actor and as a director now, and just, I love her, and she's in this probably more than anybody else. Like, her in that big red skirt and, like,
Yes.
just pushing things off tables, and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, give me a lot of Olivia Wilde. That's awesome.
I know you have a big crush on her. I saw her. I never remember who she is. Like, I always recognize her mildly. Like, you know how you're hair blind? Like, I'm face blind only to Olivia Wilde. Like, every time I see her, Rachel's like, "It's Olivia Wilde again."
Which is weird because, like, she has a very distinctive, unique face and face shape.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Ever since she was on House as one of the replacement doctors, like, I think 3 or 4 seasons in, like, all of House's, like, trusted associates, like, went off the, like, I guess they, like, we need to mix up the show. And so they brought in, like, a team of, like, 20 interns, essentially, 20 med students, and they whittled it down to, like, 3, and she was one of the 3, and he just called her 13 ever since, like, 2008 or whatever, like, probably, like, her first, like, rise to prominence. So I was like, oh no, I'm in love with her. Like, I have a big movie crush on her, and then to see Booksmart is so great and everything, like, I'm just like, yeah, hell yeah. So then to see her here, I was like, yes. But then to have Michelle Rodriguez, like, levitating, like, meditating but floating, I was like, okay, interesting choice.
And she's essentially, like, the last shot of the movie, right? Like, she's, like, very close to the end.
So she comes on and the music stops. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh. And then there's the lyric or whatever, like, watch the breakdown, the music comes back, but I'm like, it's weird and cool.
That she's almost a focal point.
Yeah, that the person we're watching this for is, I don't want to say the point of the music video, but it's like, oh no, she's the one we're waiting for. It's like, really? Okay, so we're waiting. Like, it's a weird kind of coincidence.
Yeah, I thought that I had missed her in the film until we get to that point. I also thought that she was going to be one of the go-kart drivers, because we get a go-kart driving scene in this.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was her behind the helmet, and I was like, oh man, if they put her in a go-kart, have her take the helmet off, and it's fucking Letty, that's going to be awesome.
But no.
It wasn't, but then instead we get like a main focus of her later levitating scene, like she's Neo from the Matrix or something weird.
I liked it though. I mean, it was a weird
It
thing
worked.
that happened, but I was on
It was
board with
fine.
it.
I had no problems with it. I was just like, wow, that's not what I was expecting at all.
I don't think there's anything else to say. Like again, it's like, oh cool. Like there's Rashida Jones in the back of a limo. Like she's cool. Like I'm like, there's Tiffany. Oh, there's Easter. Oh, okay. Like that's kind of what this music video is. Like it's like
That's the purpose of it,
nostalgia, not nostalgia, but like nostalgia. Like oh, I remember. I know her. I know her.
Yeah, it was all just recognizable figures, which
Yep.
I really liked. There's not a lot of lettiness happening other than her just levitating him off the ground, which I was trying to think of like, you know what? That would be a pretty cool. What if Letty has like a mind superpower? What if she has like the mind of the race to steal something from Nico?
So Mia is the heart of the race. She's the mind of the race.
Yeah, and like she like protects Dom with her levitating powers all the time, and that's why he could jump across the building, like jump across the bridge,
Ooh.
and that's how like when she crashed and she flipped her car, she didn't die, and that's how like Han's still alive. Like she just like has this like not Vision but the girl from Marvel. That's like this
Oh,
half-
Scarlet Witch. Yeah.
that kind of like a mind power that can like move things, and she like watches over them with her levitating powers.
Like we joked about this before, but like in If 9, she's like, "Oh yeah, Dom, I can." He's like, "Yo, Letty, pass that Snapple," because of course he loves Snapple. She just slides it over the brain. She's like, "Oh yeah, I can do this now." We're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like that tracks. Like I'm good,
It would,
right?
it'd be
We're good."
totally on brand. Yeah. Well, she could be like when I was gone, like as I'm remembering, I realized I can move things with my mind now.
Yeah, when my memory came back, I remembered who I really was.
Yeah, and she's a mutant.
Yeah, I'm a mutant wizard. Yeah.
It will work.
Do you have a favorite of the 3 videos? Is it? I mean, it's not the first one, I don't think. But do you like the Demi Lovato one more or the Drake one more? I'm assuming.
I like the Demi Lovato one more, just because she gets more screen time. That it kind of has like a story. It plays to her strengths. You get like her fight. Not that like her meditating is not her strength, right? But like hand-to-hand combat,
Right.
We get a little bit of that from Michelle Rodriguez. Like, okay, this is cool. And driving and breaking out of jails and teaming up with other women. I think that one's much cooler.
Yeah. I think it's a nice blend of 3 different things, like a narrative one, a kind of just glossy, here's what's going on, and then one that, like, who knows what's happening, actually, in the 2002 one. But a nice blend. So thank you, Larson, for picking these 3.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle Rodriguez, for being in them. I don't know. But yeah, I think this is a nice blend. The picture, like, I was like, I don't know what picture, like, on the tweet, the preview tweet for the episodes we're doing, I did her levitating one, but I think the picture I'm going to do is this one I found from...
Her and Demi Lovato like shaking hands.
It's like a behind the scenes of her and Demi Lovato and Robert Rodriguez. Because I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, that is cool. I like that one.
I was like, I wanted to get one of her like in that top, like just showing the new look of Letty, like with the shoulders cut out and everything. And
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I like this. Good call.
so next week it's a themed week, which I feel like I was
You
like
promise?
once I realized I got as much as I can promise. If I knew Robert Rodriguez directed this one, I might have put this closer to whatever. But anyway, it's fine.
Okay.
But next week, not Robert Rodriguez week, that is coming later. But next week, we are doing Weepy, Wacky, Romance Week.
Oh,
When we put together the lap themes, I ask you a couple times, like, and you basically just say, I trust you, pick what you want.
yeah, yeah.
But you
Normally.
said this time, I want a Lifetime movie because this theme of memory loss, like, I don't know which one yet, but I need something. I'm like, cool, got it. So I just put in Lifetime movie,
Yeah.
did a little bit of research for our film club, and you found one. Please, I mean, without spoiling things, 'cause I still haven't seen it yet, but please tell the listeners about what The Wives He Forgot will be.
Can we play the reverse? I want you to do a Joe and tell me
Oh.
what you think the movie is. Because I've seen it now, and I enjoy it. Tell me, based on the title, what you think happens in this movie.
So I think it's one of 2 things. I think either a guy habitually, systematically keeps falling in love with a woman, marrying her, having a family, somehow getting amnesia, and then has all these past lives. Like at least 2, I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it's the 3rd time, kind of a harem, a gaggle of women, whatever, but he doesn't know. And then they find out about each other, and they come together to take him down or something. That's option 1.
Okay.
Or...
Remember, it's a Lifetime movie.
I know, but like it's hyper. It's again that like adding the tropes of all that. I had a backup option, which was more campy. I think I don't remember. I don't know.
Okay.
I had a good option B, and I'm drawing a blank now. I thought I had 2 options, then I went on this other woman tangent. Now I don't remember.
Without spoiling anything, I would like to tell you it is about wives he forgot.
Pretty cool. I mean, you've talked about a lot. Like it's all there in the title.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about Lifetime movies is like it's meant to be like when you're scrolling by, you're like the wives he forgot. Like how did he forget those wives? And then that's why you watch the movie, right? Like it tells you like it's about a guy who forgot that he had wives. How? Why? Where do we get to? We don't know. But like it's giving you as much of the movie as we can in the title.
I'm assuming there's going to be like memory loss. Like, I don't think it's going to be willful like forgetting. I think it's going to be there's something traumatic that happens to him. Amnesia. Like he gets bonked on the head. I know bonking is big in these movies.
Bonking is big.
He gets bonked on the head and forgets these women. And somehow, I think my overall thing is that they're going to team up in a way. They're going to find out about each other and they're going to come after him.
Well, we'll have to watch the movie and see.
So
also, Molly
that's
Ringwald's
Tuesday.
in it, by the way. Did you know that?
Cool. Oh, this is from 2006 or something? Because there were like two that you were down between. There was like one that was more recent and one that was a little bit older, right? This is the older one?
Yeah, this is the older one, but it's a fucking ride and a half.
Cool. Okay.
It will be fun. It hits a lot of the themes that I like in Lifetime movies. It hits the theme of Our Lap, and it has Molly Ringwald. The audio of it is destroyed. It is just all sorts of out of balance.
Okay.
It's like a step up from that Lenny Kravitz music video, but like with way worse audio.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's Tuesday. And then Friday, and I want to be clear because there is another thing that's called this now that is getting much more acclaim. We are watching The Vow on Friday, but not The Vow as in the Nexium cult documentary. We are watching The Vow, the Channing Tatum, Rachel McAdams, weepy, wacky romance movie that we would have covered for Magic Mike, so we not abandoned that project.
Yes.
But this is one that, I love. Another one of my all-time crushes, Rachel McAdams.
Same, dude. Same.
Her and Channing Tatum. It's about memory loss. I don't know anything else about this.
I hope it's just like a remake of The Notebook, but just with Channing Tatum instead. Like shot for shot. Just like it's like face.
So if it starts at a nursing home, we'll know that something's up.
Yeah, I'll be like, this seems a little familiar.
The Wives He Forgot and The Vow. Whew.
Yeah, The Wives He Forgot's going to be fun. I can't wait to talk about it with you, and I can't wait to rewatch it because I had a good time watching it the first time. I highly recommend you drink some beers while you watch it.
I'm also assuming this is going to be kind of like a shorter, breezier movie. Is that true, or is it unnecessarily long?
No, they're all... Come on, dude. They're made to fit in an hour 30 with commercials every time.
Perfect.
So it's like an hour and 15 max, I think.
Love it. The Wives He Forgot, and then The Vow, which feels like that might be longer. Who knows? But that's next week.
Yeah.
Weepy, wacky romance week. Perfectly on brand for a podcast about the Fast and the Furious.
True, it is. There's gonna be Fast and the Furious things to talk about when we talk about what's it called though.
I imagine so. Yeah. Any other thoughts about the music videos or anything before we come back on Tuesday for The Wives He Forgot?
No, I'm just ready.
So then for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Come back next week for Weepy, Wacky, Romance Movie Week. Check out all 131 episodes of this podcast, wherever you find podcasts.
So
if you have
many
not
episodes.
left us a review yet, please leave us a review or just say nice things. And again, I'll say it again, family@cageclub.me. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
and we'll tell you all about it
When we see you again.